Welcome to Treadmill Trivia. Today's challenge, world history's unsung heroes and pivotal moments. We're uncovering 30 forgotten figures and events that truly reshaped our world. Get your pace set and get ready to crush this cardio. Let's go. Round 1. We're kicking off with a man who saved millions yet was mocked for his ideas. Which 19th century doctor was nicknamed the Savior of Mothers for his work on hygiene? A. Louis Pasteur, B. Joseph Lister, C. Ignaz Semmelweis, or D. Edward Jenner? The answer is C. Ignaz Semmelweis. In the 1840s, Semmelweis discovered that doctors washing their hands could stop the spread of deadly childbed fever. Tragically, the medical community rejected him, and he died in an asylum before his life-saving theories were finally proven right. Round 2. Which brilliant chemist developed the first effective injectable treatment for leprosy in the early 1900s? A. Marie Curie, B. Alice Ball, C. Rosalind Franklin, or D. Dorothy Hodgkin? The answer is B. Alice Ball. At just 23 years old, Ball developed the Ball method using oil from Chalmugra trees. Round 3. High stakes here. In 1983, which Soviet officer likely prevented a full-scale nuclear war by correctly identifying a missile warning as a false alarm? A. Mikhail Gorbachev, B. Yuri Gagarin, C. Stanislav Petrov, or D. Vasily Arkhipov? The answer is C. Stanislav Petrov. When the Soviet early warning system malfunctioned and reported incoming U.S. missiles, Petrov chose to trust his gut and report it as a system error. His split-second decision is why we are all still here today. Round 4. Who developed over 40 life-saving vaccines, including those for measles, mumps, and hepatitis A? A. Maurice Hilleman, B. Jonas Salk, C. Albert Sabin, or D. Alexander Fleming? The answer is A. Maurice Hilleman. Hilleman is the most prolific vaccinologist in history. It is estimated that his work saves nearly 8 million lives every single year, yet he remains one of science's most quiet, unsung heroes. Round 5. Whose immortal cells were taken without her knowledge, changing modern medicine? A. Mary Putnam Jacobi, B. Henrietta Lacks, C. Rebecca Lee Crumpler, or D. Elizabeth Blackwell? The answer is B. Henrietta Lacks. Her HeLa cells were the first to grow indefinitely in a lab. They've been used for the polio vaccine, gene mapping, and COVID-19 research. While she didn't consent to the procedure, her legacy is etched into every corner of modern medicine. Round 6. Which diplomat defied his government to save thousands of Jews during World War II? A. Raoul Wallenberg, B. Oskar Schindler, C. Chiune Sugihara, or D. Aristides de Sousa Mendes? The answer is C. Chiune Sugihara, a Japanese vice consul in Lithuania who issued transit visas against Tokyo's orders, allowing many to escape the Holocaust, earning him the title Japanese Schindler and recognition as a righteous among the nations. Round 7. Which Polish officer got himself arrested in 1940 to infiltrate and organize a resistance inside Auschwitz? A. Klaus von Stauffenberg, B. Mordecai Anielewicz, C. Witold Pilecki, or D. Jan Karski? The answer is C, Witold Pilecki. Pilecki spent nearly 3 years inside the camp, smuggling out the first intelligence reports of the Holocaust to the Allies. He eventually escaped in 1943, but was later executed by the Soviet-installed Polish government, who suppressed his heroic story for decades. Round 8. Which 17th century Queen of Angola famously fought off Portuguese colonial forces for 30 years? A. Queen Amina, B. Queen Nzinga, C. Ya Asantewa, or D. Queen Moremi? The answer is B, Queen Nzinga. A master diplomat, she once used her own servant as a chair to demand equal status during a meeting with the Portuguese governor. Her decades of guerrilla warfare successfully prevented total colonial conquest of her kingdom during her lifetime. Round 9. Which 15-year-old was arrested for refusing to give up her bus seat 9 months before Rosa Parks? A. Diane Nash, B. Septima Clark, C. Claudette Colvin, or D. Ella Baker? The answer is C. Claudette Colvin. Colvin was one of the 4 plaintiffs in the legal case that ultimately ended bus segregation in Alabama. Civil rights leaders later chose Rosa Parks as the face of the movement, believing the younger, darker-skinned Colvin wouldn't be as marketable to the public. Round 10. Which all-female Soviet regiment flew silent night bombing raids in plywood plains during World War II? A. The Night Witches, B. The Wasps, C. The Flying Tigers, or D. The Tuskegee Airmen? The answer is A, the Night Witches. These pilots idled their engines to glide silently over German targets, creating a whooshing sound that reminded the Germans of broomsticks. They were so effective that any German pilot who shot one down was automatically awarded the Iron Cross. Round 11. Who led the only successful slave revolt in history that resulted in an independent state? A. Jean-Jacques Dessalines, B. Nat Turner, C. Toussaint Louverture, or D. Henri Christophe? The answer is C, Toussaint Louverture. Born into slavery, Louverture became a military genius who defeated the empires of France, Spain, and Britain. His leadership during the Haitian Revolution turned a colony into the world's first independent Black republic. Round 12. Which 16-year-old rode 40 miles to warn colonial forces of a British attack in 1777? A. Betsy Ross, B. Molly Pitcher, C. Sybil Ludington, or D. Deborah Sampson? The answer is C. Sybil Ludington. Ludington's ride was more than double the distance of Paul Revere's. She successfully rallied her father's regiment to defend Danbury, Connecticut, and was later personally thanked for her heroism by George Washington. Round 13. Which Hollywood actress co-invented the technology that led to modern Wi-Fi and Bluetooth? A. Marlene Dietrich, B. Ginger Rogers, C. Hedy Lamarr, or D. Lauren Bacall? The answer is C, Hedy Lamarr. This Austrian-American star patented frequency hopping during World War II to protect Allied torpedoes from radio jamming. While the U.S. Navy ignored her work at the time, her engineering brilliance is now the foundation for all modern secure wireless communication. Round 14. Who was likely the first person to circumnavigate the globe after returning to his native region? A. Juan Sebastian Elcano, B. Vasco da Gama, C. Enrique of Malacca, or D. Ferdinand Magellan? The answer is C, Enrique of Malacca. Enslaved by Magellan in Sumatra in 1511, Enrique served as an interpreter for the voyage. When the fleet reached the Philippines in 1521, he was the first to complete a full circle of the earth by reaching a region where he could speak the local language. Round 15. Who is credited with writing the world's first computer algorithm in the 1840s? A. Grace Hopper, B. Mary Jackson, C. Ada Lovelace, or D. Margaret Hamilton? The answer is C, Ada Lovelace. As a mathematician working on Charles Babbage's mechanical computer, Lovelace realized machines could go beyond basic math to process symbols and music. Her published notes contain the first sequence of instructions intended to be carried out by a machine. Round 16. In 859 AD, who founded the world's oldest continuously operating university in Morocco? A. Khadija bint Khuwaylid, B. Fatima al-Fihri, C. Razia Sultana, or D. Queen Amina? The answer is B. Fatima al-Fihri. Al-Fihri used her inheritance to build the University of Al-Qarawiyyin in Fez. Recognized by UNESCO as the oldest degree-granting institution in the world, it became a major global center for natural sciences and introduced Arabic numerals to Europe. Round 17. Which 14th century traveler covered 75,000 miles, far exceeding Marco Polo's distance? A. Zheng He, B. Xuanzang, C. Ibn Battuta, or D. Amerigo Vespucci? The answer is C. Ibn Battuta. Over 30 years, this Moroccan scholar visited nearly the entire Islamic world, including Russia, India, and China. His detailed memoirs provide historians with the most comprehensive look at the 14th century world across 44 modern countries. Round 18. Which NASA mathematician's orbital calculations were vital to John Glenn's first spaceflight? A. Dorothy Vaughan, B. Mary Jackson, C. Katherine Johnson, or D. Gladys West? The answer is C. Katherine Johnson. Johnson was a human computer whose math was more reliable than early digital machines. Before his historic 1962 flight, John Glenn famously refused to launch until Johnson personally verified the computer's trajectory calculations by hand. Round 19. Which 732 AD battle is credited with halting the Umayyad expansion into Western Europe? A. Battle of Hastings, B. Battle of Agincourt, C. Battle of Tours, or D. Battle of Waterloo? The answer is C. Battle of Tours. Led by Charles Martel, the Frankish forces defeated the Umayyad Caliphate in modern-day France. This victory preserved Christianity as the dominant faith in Europe and changed the continent's religious and political trajectory forever. Round 20. What 1859 event was the most intense geomagnetic storm in recorded history? A. The Tunguska event, B. The Carrington event, C. The solar minimum, or D. The Great Flare? The answer is B. The Carrington event. This massive solar flare caused telegraph systems across the globe to fail, with some sparking and setting offices on fire. If a storm of this magnitude hit today, it would likely cripple the global power grid and satellite communications for years. Round 21. What 1911 New York disaster led to a massive overhaul of factory safety standards? A. Great Chicago Fire. B. Triangle Shirtwaist Fire. C. Knickerbocker Theater Collapse. Or D. General Slocum Disaster. The answer is B. Triangle Shirtwaist Fire. 146 garment workers died because the exit doors were locked to prevent unauthorized breaks. This tragedy forced the creation of modern fire codes, mandatory fire drills, and fueled the growth of the International Ladies Garment Workers Union. Round 22. Which document from the year 1215 first established that the king and his government were not above the law? A. Bill of Rights. B. Code of Hammurabi. C. Magna Carta. Or D. Declaration of Arbroath. The answer is C. Magna Carta. Forced upon King John of England by his barons, this great charter introduced the concept of due process and the right to a fair trial. It remains the foundation of constitutional law and inspired the U.S. Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Round 23. Which 19th century conflict in China is considered the deadliest civil war in human history? A. Taiping Rebellion. B. Boxer Rebellion. C. Opium Wars. Or D. Anlushan Rebellion. The answer is A. Taiping Rebellion. Led by Hong Xiuquan, who claimed to be the brother of Jesus, this 14-year conflict resulted in an estimated 20 to 30 million deaths. It nearly toppled the Qing dynasty and drastically weakened China, just as Western colonial powers were increasing their influence. Round 24. What 1884 meeting saw European powers carve up Africa into colonies without African input? A. Congress of Vienna. B. Berlin Conference. C. Treaty of Versailles. Or D. Yalta Conference. The answer is B. Berlin Conference. 14 nations divided the African continent into artificial territories with no regard for existing ethnic or linguistic boundaries. This scramble for Africa created geopolitical borders and tensions that continue to impact the continent's stability today. Round 25. Which labor leader co-founded the United Farm Workers but is often overshadowed by Cesar Chavez? A. Joan Baez. B. Dolores Huerta. C. Rigoberta Menchú. Or D. Sylvia Rivera. The answer is B. Dolores Huerta. Huerta was the lead negotiator for the 1965 Delano grape strike and actually originated the famous slogan, Si se puede. Despite her critical role in securing disability insurance and better wages for farm workers, she was often marginalized in the movement's history due to gender bias. Round 26. Who became the first woman to earn a medical degree in the United States in 1849? A. Clara Barton. B. Elizabeth Blackwell. C. Florence Nightingale. Or D. Maria Mitchell. The answer is B. Elizabeth Blackwell. Blackwell was admitted to Geneva Medical College as a joke after the all-male student body voted to let her in. She graduated first in her class, eventually founded the New York Infirmary for Women and Children, and dedicated her life to opening the medical profession to women worldwide. Round 27. Which Mongol princess famously refused to marry any man unless he could beat her in wrestling? A. Mandukai Khatun. B. Kutalun. C. Empress Wu Zetian. Or D. Tomyris. The answer is B, Kutulun. The great-great-granddaughter of Genghis Khan, Kutulun was a fearsome warrior who rode into battle alongside her father. She reportedly won over 10,000 horses from suitors who failed to defeat her, and she remains a legendary figure in Mongolian history for her physical strength and independence. Round 28. Whose body was used by British intelligence in 1943 to trick the Nazis about the invasion of Sicily? A. Guy Burgess, B. Alan Turing, C. Glyndor Michael, or D. Juan Pujol Garcia? The answer is C, Glyndor Michael. In a mission called Operation Mincemeat, the corpse of Michael, a homeless man, was dressed as a fictional officer and released at sea with fake invasion plans. The deception was so successful that Hitler moved his troops to Greece, leaving Sicily vulnerable for a successful Allied invasion. Round 29. Who introduced smallpox inoculation to England after witnessing the practice in the Ottoman Empire? A. Florence Nightingale, B. Marie Curie, C. Lady Mary Wortley Montagu, or D. Catherine the Great? The answer is C, Lady Mary Wortley Montagu. After surviving smallpox herself, Montagu had her children inoculated in Turkey in 1718. She faced heavy resistance from the British medical establishment for supporting an Eastern practice, but her persistence paved the way for Edward Jenner's development of the first vaccine 80 years later. Round 30. Who was the last emperor of Ethiopia and a symbol of African independence in the 20th century? A. Menelik II, B. Jomo Kenyatta, C. Haile Selassie, or D. Kwame Nkrumah? The answer is C, Haile Selassie. Selassie led Ethiopia during the Italian invasion and became a global icon after his 1936 speech to the League of Nations. He was a founding father of the Organization of African Unity and is revered as a messianic figure in the Rastafari movement, symbolizing the strength of African heritage. Workout complete! How did you score on those unsung heroes? Drop your results in the comments, hit subscribe, and check the playlist for your next session. Great job today! See you next time!